Well, after calling off the anticipated summit with North Korean dictator Kim Jong Un, President Trump now says it could be back on. Here to discuss what could happen, and of course the political ramifications, Democratic strategist Robin Bureau and staff writer for The Federalist, Bree Payton. Thank you so much for joining us. Bree, I want to start with you. North Korea has obviously been able to see, a little bit of a reward over the past couple weeks on a global scale for good behavior, for a step in the right direction. Do you suspect that's motivation for the June 12th summit to actually take place?
I definitely think so. But, you never know with North Korea. That's the thing. And I think it makes sense for Donald Trump to have canceled the summit in the first place. I mean, North Korea was reportedly threatening to have a nuclear showdown with the United States if the meeting didn't go well. I think it's important when entering a negotiating table to be honest and for us to enter with a position of strength, right? I mean, the reality is that North Korea is a country that is imploding internally, and they have been unable to develop effective nuclear weapons, right? So I think we need to enter the negotiating table being honest with one another and not treating them as equals, but treating them as in the position that they are in, and us entering with strength. I think that that's very important, and I think Donald Trump understood that. And I was honestly, happy to see that he ended up canceling the summit when North Korea was entering it with that kind of an attitude.
All right, Robin, first and foremost, obviously your last name is pronounced Byra. I've had you on the show before. I apologize. That needs to be set straight. Second of all, agree or disagree, I'm going to assume that you do not agree.
Well, actually, Bree brought up some really good points. And my main concern here was that with this being right on June 12th, there were so many moving parts to this. It's taking me back to my active duty days, kind of shooting moving targets here. And I just don't think we had enough time to put this together. I think that it was a smart move to at least delay this. And Donald Trump, doesn't like to expose his playing cards. Bolton did no service to him by his comments saying that we were going to use the Libya model. And I know that was taken out of context, but the perception from Kim Jong Un was certainly that, he was going to end up dead like Gaddafi on the meat factory floor.
Okay, but if we see Kim Jong Un maybe take a more aggressive stance as he did, weeks and months ago, then what is my question? If we see him we're meeting with the South Korean president, there's
right.
efforts for it to take place, but that could change. So then what?
It changes all the time. But look at what's happened with the two of them in the past. The name calling, the dotard, then
right.
President Trump calling him short and fat. These things move all the time. It's basically fluid. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to end up getting there. And that's to the betterment of all of Americans. Not, this isn't along party lines at all. This is just what's best for America. So I really hope that we can make progress here.
Bree, I want to bring in I want to weave China into the conversation because obviously the president has been, critical of President Xi for a number of reasons. How big of a role should they play, or should they not play a role at all?
They absolutely should play a big role. At the end of the day, China is the country that's propping up Kim Jong Un's regime, right? And at the end of the day, we need to be having a conversation with them. It's very clear that China is not in a position where they want to give up their sphere of influence. In fact, they're rapidly expanding it. We just heard from Jillian, a few moments ago about the way that they're developing weapons in the islands in the South China Sea, and the way that they're trying to position themselves, as a global superpower, which they are, and they're trying to kind of have this conflict with us and try to say, we're bigger than you, we're expanding, we're doing these things. And all of that has been a rapid change in foreign policy direction in the past decade that we're seeing. And I think we need to respond to it and say, this needs to stop. We need to have a realistic conversation about everything that's going on there. So definitely 100% important to involve China and get them at the negotiating table as well.
Okay, Robin, I want to give you the last word because the president even tweeted that the border has become more porous. Obviously, he's referring to the sanctions being lifted for North Korea coming from China, meaning that they really haven't been, following through and being as hard on North Korea as they should. So I want to give you the last word on China's involvement and the possibility of their involvement going forward.
It's sort of troublesome. You know, what bothers me the most are all the secretive meetings, because that changes the dynamic of our talks with North Korea. Because I feel like China is trying to do a power play here. I understand why they want to keep the power, but you know, there's so many factors to contend with, and Kim Jong Un is a notorious liar. Condoleezza Rice knows very well this, so it's almost impossible to see how this is going to turn out. Let's just hope for the best.
All right, Robin, Bree, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to have you back. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.